Let's take a quick look at Steinberg CC121 Advanced Integration Controller for Cubase and Nuendo. The idea of the CC121 is to have a compact yet highly functional control surface to make the best experience out of working with your software. Looking at the CC121 from left to right, we'll see a 100mm touch-sensitive motorized fader panning all of our track controls. We have transport and EQ sections in the middle of the unit, as well as an AI knob and a user-definable section. And on the back, we'll actually have a user-definable foot switch. So one of the great things is how highly integrated the controller is. If I wanted to just switch between my different channels, I have my channel select button. I can hold that down and scroll through all the channels in my project, and you'll see the controller automatically update to reflect the changes. Now hitting the E button will actually open up my channel strip for me. So if I moved my software fader, I would see my hardware fader automatically correlate with that. Or conversely, moving my hardware fader, I see my software controlled. I also have my pan control. So if I want to come here, and you'll notice I have my mute, solo, read, write, as well as monitor enable, record enable. So, and we notice that these are actually the same exact colors that we see in the actual software. So the hardware has the same colors as the software does. If I have a virtual instrument channel, I could also just simply open up the instrument by hitting the instrument button right there. So if I wanted to close a particular channel, hit my E icon here. And as I scroll between my different channels, you'll see that it'll automatically reflect the actual selected channel directly in the screen right there. Some of the functions for our channel select buttons also has additional functions. If I have a folder track, for instance, all of my drums will be inside of a folder. Instead of having to click with the mouse, I could actually just hit both the channel select buttons right there, and that will open and close the folder. If I have an automation track, I could actually open up the automation track for a particular channel right here. So if I go to my lead vocal, I hit my channel select buttons together, I can now come right there and open up my automation tracks. Now let's say I wanted to take a look at the EQ section. So as I adjust my EQ, I can see in the center I have my frequency. I'm going to have my Q, how wide or narrow that EQ is. I could also come right over here and have my booster cut, and I could turn off and on each of my bands of EQ directly here. Now we can also come over here and have our EQ bypass button. So if I wanted to see what it sounded like without having the actual EQ engaged, I could do that. EQ type. So once I enable that button, I could now come here in my software, and right now I have a low shelf. Move the lower left-hand EQ encoder and switch between my different types of EQ directly there. Now there's an alternate function for the EQ buttons that can be accessed by hitting the EQ type and EQ bypass right here. So if I hit these together, these will now actually control different elements. So I see this light blinking. So if I wanted to go to, let's say, my virtual instrument channel, my top 8 encoders here will actually control my quick control. So this could be for an audio track, a group channel, a virtual instrument. I have my bottom 4 controls. So if I wanted to go over here to my particular channel, I can now use my bottom 4 to control my sends. So I could turn off my sends. So if I wanted to turn off my RoomWorks reverb and adjust the level right there. So I have sends 1 through 4 that are turned on right here. If I wanted to access sends 5 through 8, I hit this button and we see that blink. And now I could turn on my sends 5 through 8 and control those functions. To go back to EQs, hit both buttons and we see that none are blinking, indicating that we're in EQ mode. Come to where I see my transport. So if I wanted to play, stop, fast forward, rewind, go to the next marker, go to the previous marker. If I wanted to record, I could just simply punch in my record, stop. I could also engage my cycle mode. So all my transport functionality. We have a user assignable section, and these allow you to assign these knobs and buttons to just about any aspect in the program. There will be presets where you can control your speakers or your studio controls for your control room, but I like to have it set to user assignable, and here I could actually set just about any function in the application that could be addressed through a keyboard shortcut. So if I wanted to open up and close my device setup window, I could just simply click on that button right there. Or if I wanted to open up my mixer, I could have that preset, or open up my control room functionality. And I have this button where I could actually switch between 4 different monitors in my control room. I could also have these as being undo, zoom, any function in the program. We also have a foot switch control on the back. So as I would hit the foot switch, if we take a look at our setup, I have it currently set for record. And I could have this, if I'm editing, be undo, or activate talkback microphones in my control room. So if I wanted to play my guitar or play my bass, I could just simply arm the track for recording and hit my foot switch. And we'll see the track just immediately go into record. And now I could just simply punch out, hit my foot switch, punch in. So I could actually have kind of remote controlling foot switch and doing a lot of kind of standardized tasks. Our AI knob, and the AI knob will work in 2 different ways. One will be as a jog wheel. Rotate in my timeline just like that. So we'll see the jog button become illuminated. Now I could also have it into AI knob, and AI stands for advanced integration. So if I wanted to look at a particular channel, anything that I hover over, it controls. Come right over here, hover over this element, it controls that. If I want to go to my send levels, it controls that. If I want to come over here to plugin controls, it now controls that. So very, very easy to work. Now, one of the great things is you could actually lock by hitting the lock button. So if I wanted to control this with my AI knob and have my pre-delay controlled with my mouse, I can control both functions simultaneously. So this way, I don't have to do any mapping or signing, and it works out of the box with VST3 and the vast majority of VST 2.4 plugins. So instead of trying to map entire control surfaces for plugin parameters, we just simply hover over it and it's automatically controlling. The volume encoder is my monitoring volume. So if I have my actual control room set up or my master volume, I could use this as my master volume, and I could push in to mute. So what you see is an inexpensive, highly capable, advanced integration controller for your Cubase and Nuendo environments. The CC121 from Steinberg is a great controller that significantly improves your workflow. Gone are the days of looking at a tiny little screen with cryptic menus and assigning controls. Just simply hover over with the AI knob, control the function. I don't have to look at the controller to know what the fader is. I do it by feel, traditionally like a hardware console. I know what the EQs do. I know what the transport does. I know where my control room volume is. I don't have to look at the screen. Also, if it's great into your studio environment, you don't need specialized furniture. So for a highly integrated advanced controller, the CC121, which comes bundled with Cubase AI, is a great solution.